In last week's episode, we looked through the Slav defense, which the world champion Anand used especially in the first half of the World Championship match against Gelfand. Anand didn't follow the main line, but did instead deviate by playing a6 as his fifth move. And so we decided to dedicate this last episode of the season of the opening school to look at what happens after Black's most common fifth move, knight b to d7.
The Black position is very stable. It's hard for White to find any weaknesses in this position, but simultaneously, Black has very little space to play on, and the maybe surest sign of this is the c8 bishop, which isn't only blocked by the knight on d7, but also by the pawn on e6. This does, however, not mean that Black will always have such a limited position. Instead, Black plans a breakthrough by moves like c5 or e5. There are a couple of rules to live by when you have a more cramped position, and one of them is that piece exchanges are beneficial for the Black position, because that would give the remaining pieces more space to share.
With that said, playing White in this position, it's important to remember that Black is the one that has the most to gain from exchanging pieces, so White should try to avoid that. Black's difficulties with finding good squares for his pieces, and this is his biggest problem in this position, and White should try to exploit that, which means that an exchange on d5 is a bad idea for White.
Yes, instead White should develop his pieces, and in this position that's best done by bishop d3. There are of course alternatives to this move, but the second most popular is queen to c2. If you like to shake the position up a bit, I recommend you to check if White's g4 is something for you. It's a move which can lead to very complicated positions.
After White's bishop to d3, Black's supposed to capture the pawn on c4, and as we see, this move forces White to recapture with his bishop. And that is why Black decides to capture in this move, because it forces White to dance around with the same piece while it allows Black to develop.
After bishop takes on c4, Black should follow up by playing b5. White has some alternatives, but to retreat to d3 is the most popular and also the most active choice. Not only does it keep pressuring the b5 pawn, but it also allows the bishop to keep the diagonal against the Black king side. The game has suddenly turned rather extreme. From the calm Black position, b5 has exploded forward, and as we soon will see, the Black position will develop quite quickly on the queen side.
Black's next move, a6, may seem slow and passive, but it's actually an important move. If Black wants to be able to play c5, the b5 pawn has to be protected. The idea behind this maneuver is to stop White from building up a strong attack against the Black king side by shaking apart the queen side, which forces White's attention in this direction.
Yes, White now has to decide what to do in order not to get swept away by Black's initiative and to be forced to dance to Black's tune, so to speak. Because of this, White plays e4, a move which allows White to open up for his own counterattack. This is followed by Black c5, and we have without a doubt reached a very packed position. What you have to remember is to make sure you come out of this with a better position, so that when the smoke has dispersed, you will have a solid position, because it is very easy to get caught up in the action and end up with a position that you can't hold together.
Always have the end game in mind. What will this particular exchange that looks really good lead to? And with that, we end not only this last episode of the opening school for the season, but also our analysis of the Slav defense. During the last couple of weeks, we've seen many different sides of the Slav defense, both calm positions and explosive ones like this one. We'll be back again with a new episode and new opening next season in the fall, so see you then.